Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It is your girl Alana Simone. So today we're going to be talking about, is sex bad? And so, I think this is an important topic because, oftentimes, especially I feel like in Christianity or, even just any religion, like, listen, I don't know who I got watching me, but you could be like Buddhist, you could be anything. I mean, I hope I'm reaching you. I mean, but regardless, I feel like it's a thing that people deal with, and dealing with to know if it's good or bad. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I'm gonna tell you, it's not bad. And anybody who's told you that it's bad is, it's not true. And let me explain, because one thing about sex is that it can be made bad in the context that it's being displayed in. And so that's what we have to understand, that it can be bad, it can become a bad thing when it's displayed incorrectly. And so that's what I really wanted to say today, because sex is not bad. Sex is something that God created, first of all, to reproduce the population so that we can be born. Secondly, it gives you a feeling, just a feeling to feel good. Like, that's why people have sex. They want to feel good, I guess, right? But yeah, so I mean, it's not bad. One thing that God desires, of course, is for it to be in the union of marriage. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, because oftentimes we're told not to have sex. We're told that it's bad. We're told that don't do it, all this stuff, but we're not often told why we shouldn't. We're just told not to do something that people who are telling you to do is doing. And so that's why I wanted to talk about, like, the importance of why, because oftentimes we don't realize that sex is a sacred thing. It's something that's supposed to be holy. It's something that's supposed to be blessed, especially in the union of marriage. And oftentimes, especially nowadays, it's been distorted. It's been made bad because it's been so perverted. And so many people, first of all, is having sex. Secondly, the world has become so sexualized. It's like sex this, sex that, sex everything. And so everything's about sex, and everybody's like, oh my God, sex. And now you got little kids curious about what sex is, and they like 5, 7, 6, 7 years old, and they're like, you trying to figure out how they even know anything about that. It's because why? It's the songs we're playing around them. It's what people are talking about around them, because there's no filter. There's no boundary no more. It's like the internet is one thing that has gotten out and has exposed people to a lot of things. So nothing's safe anymore. Everything has been kind of just brought to the surface, and it's really up to the parents and the people around, especially children or just people in general, to protect them and really try to monitor what they're watching and what they're listening to, and all that stuff. But unfortunately, my generation, we are popping out babies like popcorn popping in the thing. We just popping them. Everybody pregnant. And so it's a thing, like, everybody have a baby. And one thing that my generation, I feel like, not everybody, but most people, we don't have boundaries. We don't have separation. First of all, we don't have respect for ourselves. And so now, because we don't have respect for ourselves, we now don't have respect. We can't show anybody else how to have respect. So we're raising kids that don't know about respect and don't know about all this stuff. There's no boundaries. They're just allowed. Things are becoming normalized, and they're allowed to do a lot more things than we were growing up. And so, it's become a thing that has been not so good. But one thing I wanted to say today is, like, sex is actually something that God desires for us to have. And like I always say, it's in the union of marriage. And why? Because in marriage, it creates a connection with your spouse, with your partner. It can be blessed. It can protect you from a lot of things. Especially if the marriage is based off of the foundation of God. Because even sometimes you get married and people still be out here wilding and be cheating and all that stuff, but I'm not even going to talk about that today. But they be cheating, and then it's really not. But let me tell you, when you have a true example of how God, like, it desires it for it to be. It's supposed to be a sacred thing. It's supposed to be something that ultimately protects us and can be blessed in the union of marriage. And so oftentimes, you know, we out here having sex with everybody, like everybody and their mother having sex with everybody. And so now we don't realize that that is transferring energy. And so now, you know, you were once a happy individual, but you had sex with somebody who was constantly depressed, constantly angry. And so now that energy is now feeding inside of you, because now you're intertwined. Now you've connected to them. And so we don't realize that that's one thing that can happen. Also, it creates an attachment with someone. So now you once thought it was a one night thing, or, you know, having some fun, and now you're attached to that person. And now you're trying to let go of a toxic relationship, but you don't know how to, because now you're physically attached to them. And so oftentimes people try to justify and say soul ties aren't real, attachments aren't real, I can just sleep with everybody and I have no feelings. But let me tell you, that's not the case. Like, for some people, and that can happen, it's like, you know, a rare thing. But for most people, from my experience, from, you know, observing people and hearing people's stories, that's not the case. It's either one or the other person gets attached, and that other person is like, you know, off doing what they want to do, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But let me tell you, like, God, if it was bad, first of all, God wouldn't have created it. It's what we do with what we get from him and how we distort it. That's when it becomes bad. And so, you know, this thing, sex is not bad. He ultimately wants us to save ourselves for marriage, because he understands what comes with when you don't. Because now you can, when you are not putting sex into a relationship and you're actually having actual dating somebody, or, you know, with them, you can now see them for who they are. There's no blockers. There's no emotional like blockers now, because you're not physically attached to them. So that's one thing of protection, is like, you can now see somebody for who they are when you don't, you know, connect on a physical level. And so now it's easier for you to decide if you want to be with this person or not, because now you see who they are. They're showing you who they are. And so oftentimes we think we can do what we want, go out and have sex with this person, and they ended up switching on us, or doing a whole 360, and you like, what happened? And it's like, this person was who they were, but you decided to ignore the signs and jump right in and have sex, and now they change, and you're like, what happened? But they were who they were. You were just blocked and blinded, because now that attachment is there that wasn't supposed to be there. And so now you stuck on somebody that you should have left 50 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 6 months ago, like however long the case may be, because now you're attached to somebody you were never supposed to be attached to. And so, you know, that's one thing that God desires, for us to wait till marriage. It's not like he's like punishing us, like he don't want us to have it. It's like, no, he knows the outcomes that can come with it. You can get attached, you can contract diseases, it's so many things that happen with it. And so oftentimes we're thinking that he is punishing us for these things and doesn't want us to have it, and that people are just telling us not to do it. But that's not the case. Like, he desires for us to have it, but he wants to protect us. You understand? He's not giving us these things to make us feel bad and to confine us and to trap us in a prison and say we can't enjoy these. No, he understands the magnitude of what he created and how sex can get people attached. He's the one who created it, so he understands how it works. And so he's like, okay, if I created this and understand how it works, let me give them a guide on what they should do before they decide to participate in this. Because I'm the creator of sex, and so I know how it works. So I'm going to tell them, give them a suggestion, not a rule, a suggestion on what they should do and why they should wait. But I'm gonna still give them a choice on to make the decision for themselves. I gave them the suggestion because I know how it works, and I want them to see them succeed in life and to do better. But they do have a choice to decide if they want to do this or not. And so most people to make the decision to not wait. Most people make the decision to do what they want, And now they're stuck in 10-year relationships because they might have gotten over the relationship mentally, but they're attached physically now. So now they can't let go because they're so attached. Or some people think that, okay, well, they use it as a stress reliever, or, we've been sold that it's a stress reliever. We need this and all that stuff. But no, this is just another thing to get in the way of dealing with your emotion and dealing with your pain, and just decide not to get help and go to counseling like you need to. And so people think that they can just sex their way out of stuff. They can just sex fix everything, when it doesn't. Because the emotions are still there. That will not prevent the person you're with from cheating on you. That will not prevent all these things. Like, it can actually open you up to more things that you didn't even know were possible until you cross that line. So, if you're already out here having sex, like, you can make a decision to stop. And now that most people, what I've learned is once they get attached, it can be harder to come out of the things. But just know it takes time. Like, if you make a decision that you don't want to anymore, like, then make that decision. And know it takes time. Ask God to help you get through it, because now you're realizing, okay, this is why he told me I shouldn't do it, because now I'm attached to this person I can't let go. Now I contracted a disease that I can't get rid of. And so we thought that God was punishing us. Now we trying to blame God. It wasn't God's fault. We chose not to listen. He gave us a way. He showed us a way. He gave us instructions. But we chose to do what we wanted to do. And so in the end, when we choose what we want to do, we are dealt with the consequences, unfortunately. And so unfortunately, sometimes the consequences come with that. So just know that when God tells us these things and when he gives us instructions, it's not for it to be a bad thing. Like, he doesn't want us to do these things, participate in these things. He wants us to, but he ultimately knows the outcome when we choose to do it how we want to do it. And so that's why he says, do it in my way. In my way, you can be safe. In my way, you can be protected. In my way, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to keep you attached to people. It doesn't have to keep you getting your heart broke because you keep on feeling like you got to physically give yourself up to somebody to be accepted by them. Like, no. Let him show you your worth. Let him show you who you are in him. Let him define your identity. Don't let somebody else define it for you. And don't let people make it feel like or seem like you have to have sex to be accepted. You have to have sex to know who you are. That defines you. It doesn't. God defines you. He knows who you are. He tells us who we are. That you don't have to be defined by sex. Sex is just a bonus that is one thing that God gives us to be able to experience and enjoy in life. So just know that he's not saying, oh, don't do this because he don't want you to do this. No, he wants you to live your best life and, shake a little something or whatever you want to do. But he also desires it to be a marriage because he knows that it can be blessed and you can be protected from a lot more things. And so, just know that if you want to be free today, from the feeling of feeling like, you want to be free from that. You want to be free from constantly feeling like you have to have sex to have approval from people, or just, be accepted, or you might feel like you've already been out here, so now you feel like an obligation to have to keep on going, but you don't have to. Like, and if you're struggling to break free, like you want to break free, but you don't know how to because you're far in it, and now you're attached to people and all that stuff, go to God and really pray and ask him to set you free. You don't have to be tied down. You don't have to be sold a lie just because society is telling us this is how it goes. And oh, well, my favorite celebrity, she out here, she created this, song, and this is how it's supposed to be. Like, everybody's doing it. If I'm not doing it, then I'm not cool and I won't get accepted. No, who cares? Nobody cares about what other people think. Like, if you care about what other people think, then you're living your life wrong. Like, live your life for God, because in the end, that is what's going to give you what you're really desiring. You're trying to find it in somebody else. You're trying to find it in something that's never going to give it to you. So give it to the one, give your life to the one who will give you exactly what you're looking for. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. I really hope you know that sex is not bad. It's not bad, but it has turned bad. And it has become bad because of the perversion that's happening in the land and in the world. So just know that just because it's happening around us does not mean this is how God desires it for it to be. So become free, break free, and see something different. And I guarantee you, you'll start when you take sex out of the picture, especially in relationships that you're not married to that person or whatever the case may be. You'll start to see people for who they are. You'll start to be able to leave toxic situations quicker than staying for 10 years when you should have left in the first 3 months. Like, it can prevent us and save us from a lot of things that we don't have to go through. So just know that. Just think about it. You know, it's up to you to make your decision. We all have a choice. I'm choosing to wait till marriage because that's the choice I chose to make. And that's been giving me the best result. Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to a guy or anything like that and just been straightforward with what I'm doing and how that saved me. Like, they told me their intentions off jump and was like, no, like, well, I'll go to somebody else because I don't, because they understand when you have respect for yourself, when you love yourself, and when you honor yourself, and when you stand for something that most people don't stand for, people look at you different. People respect you more and people take you more seriously. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. And I really just pray that you can make a decision on, you know, just seeing something different. I'm not saying like change your life overnight and become a saint. No, I'm just saying if you want a different outcome in life, you have to start doing different things. And so this might be one step in order to get to you to the things that you actually are desiring for God to do in your life. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. Really hope this video encouraged you today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.